Hi, Doc. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Stephanie. I'm fine. And yourself?
I'm good. Thank you for turning off that ceiling fan. You did look like you were in Miss Saigon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or having a little one of those little beanie things. Yeah,
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 exactly.
A propeller hat.
yeah.
Or that you were being airlifted out of Saigon
I,
at the
I
last
kind of
minute.
miss it. Yeah, yeah.
But it ties in with Schwarzenegger saying, "Back in the chopper, doctor. You got to get out of here." Oh my God, Doc, we were talking before the break. I mean, the debate, I just, right? And you're one of the people, of course, that is a paid analyst on NBC, has to watch it. But
Yeah,
I was talking earlier about, it doesn't say everything you need to know about the whole Trump family took their masks off the minute they sat down. The doctors from Cleveland Clinic were asking everyone to put masks on, brought masks to give to people on the Trump side. They wouldn't put them on. I mean, and
yeah.
then you've got Trump mocking Biden
Yeah.
for, oh, he wears such a big mask. I mean,
It was unbelievable, and it was not only the yelling
yeah,
and the obnoxious over speaking. The facial expressions on this buffoon were unbelievable. Did you see this?
yeah,
It was like a freak show, and
a
we learned
toddler.
absolutely nothing that we didn't know before. That Trump is a ignorant bully and a dishonest one at that. And there you go. It was on full display on Tuesday night, and here we are now in no better situation than we were before in terms of what we know or what's going to happen. Biden did the best he could to lay out his plan and to try to speak and deal with Trump appropriately. But he's an impossible guy to deal with. You can't deal with Donald Trump. It's
Yeah,
just he's big. His voice is big, and he's a sociopath. And
Yeah.
there you are.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I have two thoughts when I watch you on Brian Williams. One is, Brian, thank you for doing my show prep for me because you're always on Wednesday night. And my second thought is, mine, all mine. Dr. Doom is mine. Um, but you said on there, I think you were talking about, just this horrible trajectory we're on with coronavirus. And you just said, I don't see this easing until Biden's in office because this is, Doc, you can look at we're spiking again. I don't know whether you call it
We
a
are.
second wave or we're going into flu season and cold weather, everything you've been warning against and Dr. Fauci's been warning against. And here we are, right?
Here we are is right. And even if I hate to say this stuff, and this is I don't want to like underscore overemphasize my doomness here, but even is there such a thing as doomness?
Sure.
Yes.
We'll make it
Yeah,
something.
a
You
little
you bring it.
doomness.
And if
Yeah.
so, you bring it.
So it's going to be really hard for Biden to get control of this. I mean, we
Yeah,
desperately need him to put us on the right trajectory, but this doesn't magically end on January 22nd.
I know.
And so I think people just have to be prepared and to try to adapt the best we can to a life that's bizarre, but there are some rules to keep us safe. And we need to separate the thing that makes the reality that's so unusual from the actual need to protect ourselves from the disease. In other words, let's rethink what we know about our normal day-to-day lives, at least for the next year or two. And that's it. And we can still have fun, enjoy our families, and eventually actually we're going to be able to go to events and so on. What we need for that is the rapid point of care testing. So we will be able to get into sporting events and other things that are more normal. Not just yet, but that's coming.
Yeah. Well, that was less doomy than usual.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you said, as you tweeted, Doc, you said we're heading for a potential pandemic nightmare this winter. Keep an eye on POTUS happy talk BS pre-election. And what this is just, and you know this, a story a day. But White House blocked CDC order to keep cruise ships docked. I mean, this is so they until mid-February, a step that would have displeased the politically powerful tourism industry in the critical swing state of Florida. This is all about politics. The current no sail policy, which put in place in April, later extended, set to expire Wednesday. Dr. Redfield had recommended the extension, worried that cruise ship could become viral hotspots just as they were at the beginning of this pandemic. I feel like we're living a Flintstones background of the same nightmare over and over
Yeah.
again,
Rock
and making
tree.
this
Rock
Yeah.
tree.
and making the same mistakes. At a meeting at the Coronavirus Task Force on Tuesday, Dr. Redfield's plan was overruled. The administration instead allowed ships to sail off after October 31st. Dr. Redfield, of course, who was just scolded by Trump for talking about
Publicly.
masks, for saying the
Publicly. Yeah.
vaccine's not going to be here,
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Hmm.
And yes, so he's apparently worried he might get fired, has considered resigning. I mean, Doc, what do these doctors do in this situation? Because he said, "What's the oath you take? First, do no harm." Right? I mean, it's.
Exactly.
He said if he
You
is
know,
required to oversee a policy that compromises public health, he would resign. Well, allowing cruise ships to sail is clearly endangering the public health, right?
exactly. And you're almost encouraging people to be together in a relatively closed space, basically, which is the exact opposite of what we want to be doing. And I want to say this, though, Steph, about these people who are on the task force or her senior officials in our health agencies. They are struggling every day to figure out whether they should resign or hang in there for the American public. It's really quite extraordinary. I speak to several of them on a very regular basis, and this is personal angst. They go home at night talking to their spouses or partners and say, well, I can't take this, but I need to take it. And it's a dilemma. If somebody resigns, it'll make news for a day, and then what? Then somebody else will go in there struggling with the same thing. And it wasn't just that Trump, differed on a policy basis, which of course Trump knows nothing about, but he's actively, publicly humiliating people. Redfield is wrong, is what he said. He's just wrong. And, it's just outrageous for somebody that's so uninformed to be criticizing a highly educated, dedicated leader who said the things that science is driving him to say. And this is a circus we're watching
And
now, and
and
the clown show is in the center ring there. So
and Doc,
it's
I
pretty
can't.
great,
I always think of you because I think of you anyway. Long story.
and it's mutual, by the way.
Oh,
Oh,
You know,
sorry, Mrs.
yeah,
Sorry, Mrs. Doom.
Mrs. Zoom, I apologize in advance. Yeah,
Um, but you're a pediatrician, and we just went through this with the CDC. That we find that they were pressured to say it's fine to open schools, and children don't get it. I mean, as you said, children are carriers of COVID-19, and that presents a danger for reigniting community spread. There are so many mixed messages regarding kids returning to school. How can parents ensure their kids are safe? And
yeah.
even in New York, where you guys obviously had the lowest, you had it down to the lowest positivity rate. You said the mayor of New York and governor must clamp down on any group that's intentionally defying what we need to sustain the public's health and control this COVID outbreak. Even in New York, it's starting to come back up, right?
Even in New York, it's starting to come back, and it's a real problem. But I want to go back, Steph, if you don't
Kids,
mind. This
yeah.
this issue of Trump's undermining of the CDC, the FDA, the interference with what they're saying, is devastating. And first of all, it's devastating because we lose the credibility that the public must believe what's coming out of these agencies, and we always have. But now we have evidence of this disgusting interference in what's coming out of these agencies, which is terrible. And the other thing is that, for until COVID, the United States of America had the most admired public health system and agencies in the world. The world looked at the CDC and the FDA, especially the CDC, for guidance and what to do and how to conduct a public health agency. Trump has demolished that reputation of America's public health systems. And that's going to take a long time to reestablish as well, Steph. So the damage that the President Trump is doing right now is enduring, and it's going to take a long time for President Biden to fix some of the damage that Donald Trump is doing as we speak, Steph.
Yeah. Um, excuse me. Just these stories must drive you nuts. The Department of Health and Human Services has unsuccessfully tried to recruit dozens of celebrities to appear in an ad campaign to inspire hope in Trump's response to the coronavirus pandemic. I mean, they're so ham-handed about how they do everything. As someone, and HHS officials are talking. This is a boondoggle. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We could use that $250 million on buying PPE, not promoting PSAs with C-list celebrities. They had a list of more than 30 celebrities, including Justin Timberlake, Taylor Swift, Billy Joel, to appear in an advertising campaign on part of the department's $300 million effort to promote positive messaging on COVID-19. They were only able to get Dennis Quaid, CeCe Winans, and Hasidic singer Shulam Lemmer. Anyone? Okay.
I love him.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
Quaid's are going to Quaid, but even he's trying to back out now
Right, yeah.
because, this is, they're saying Quaid, other potential participants now have reconsidered their involvement or left the project completely after House Democrats launched an investigation into the ad blitz. It's clearly a campaign thing. And
Quaid blamed it on cancel culture.
right.
Yeah.
Michael Caputo, who was behind it, said in a Facebook video, this was demanded of me by the President of the United States personally. Clearly was a campaign ad for Trump. And look how great he's doing on this. I mean, but...
It's...
Okay. And we still don't have the proper testing and tracing and PPE,
I know.
right?
Has there been one day, Stephanie, if you think about it, in the last, 6 months at least, where we haven't heard something outrageous, something additional to pile on to the BS that we've been getting for so many months? But it's a daily thing, which is amazing. It's not just like, 2 weeks ago he said something outrageous, now he just did it again. No, it's yesterday, and it'll be tomorrow, and it's very, very disheartening. But I think we're just going to have to, go out and vote and make sure that he goes away as quickly as possible.
Well,
and
Doc,
there we are.
We've talked about this before. I joke and call myself the happy, clappy liberal. I'm an optimistical person, and everybody wants to have hope about this. Everyone, my personal, just agony over not being able to see my mother, over being single, over you name it. But everybody's going through strain in this. But false hope is cruel, period. It's like hope is great. But trying to give false hope based on bull is, that Trump's doing a great job and this is, we're turning around and whatever, when it's just not true, is just cruel.
And how demeaning is it to all of us that the president doesn't have enough respect for the entire population of the United States to speak honestly? Honestly, laying out a situation, a problem, is perfectly acceptable in the context of trying to give people hope. Yeah. You say, here's the truth, what's happening, here's what we're doing, and here's what I expect, and here's what you need to do, to make sure that we can get through this as safely as possible. People gravitate around that kind of message, and that's how they get hopeful. They get hopeful because we have a great leader who's giving us the straight truth.
Who has a plan? Who has a plan, as Joe Biden says.
Yeah,
Speaking of doom, real quick, because you would know if anyone... Have you read? I read a piece that some scientists, researchers, whatever. I think it was in the Telegraph, are saying they fear the virus could be mutating and getting more contagious, so that masks and even hand washing is not going to be as effective, etc. Have you read anything on that?
I haven't seen the article you're referring to, but there certainly is talk about that in the community, the scientific community. We don't know. This is potentially a little time bomb here that could change everything. On the other hand, it also is possible that the COVID virus can become endemic, means that it's always around, and it'll become part of the annual flu shot. And once we get the vaccine, and I think I'm not particularly worried about that, although it may help stimulate a big second wave. We'll just have to see, Steph.
Yeah. Real quickly, something else we share about United Airlines.
Uh-oh.
What did we mention that American and Delta gave us refunds for Sexy Liberal Tour, and United Airlines is the only airline that did not? But you tweeted, "Hey, United, I heard from 3 reliable sources you stuff every seat with flyers, no enforcement of mask rules, separation, etc. That's nuts. Do you understand what's going on? People should stay off your planes if you're in fact a super spreader airline. Are you?" Well, that they need to answer that, and why won't you give Stephanie Miller's Sexy Liberal Tour a refund?
Wow.
But no, but some airlines are doing better than others, aren't they? I mean, I've heard that.
They are, and this is all anecdotal. So maybe just happened to speak to 3 people on 3 particular flights that were disobeying those rules. I don't think so, but I did hear from some others who said, no, I was on a flight where we were separated, et cetera. Right. But I just want to make the point that the airlines are part of our society, and they need to follow the rules and make sure that they're not doing anything.
Yes, like Delta and American. Like Delta and American. Thank you very much. And
exactly.
And I hear they're doing a good job on safety. And, United could go a long way by giving us a refund and then talking to us about safety with Dr. Doom. Okay. It's got that little personal axe to grind. Okay, Dr. Redlener. No, because we talk a lot about air travel. It's important. A lot of us really want to see our loved ones. And so, all right. Love you. My best to Mrs. Doom. Sort of.
I'll tell him.
Sort of.
Yeah.
And the
All
little
right.
dooms.
And the little tiny dooms.
Although-
Bye, Doc. All right.
Thanks, Doc.
Bye,
Dr.
Steph.
Redlener's hander is Irwin Redlener, MD,
On Twitter.
on the Twitter machine.
Yes.
Let's add MD to mine. Why not?
He worked hard for that MD.
Whatever.